Now we're being recorded. Hello, everybody. Okay, welcome to this shir. It's been a long time since I've done this. A little rusty. Which makes you realize how much effort it takes to do. That's what I realized. I want to go back to it, but anyway. So this is a beautiful sikha on, well, it was said on Shavuos. Actually, it's brought down for Shavuos sikha. Yeah, it was said on Shavuos. Very interesting discussion. And essentially, what we're going to discuss is we understand I was talking to my son about this. I'm trying to understand a little bit. The Torah is eternal. Yeah, we know the Torah is mischalefes, it's never changed. The Torah that we received in Har Sinai, on the Zayin Sivan that we're coming up to, is the same Torah. Not going to change. We all, I guess, essentially, hopefully agree to this. One thing that I've noticed in life, there's what we sign up to, meaning what we technically agree, but then there's what we actually think. Lamashal, during the Shabbaton, we had a discussion about being wealthy. Is it a stira to being chassidish and being wealthy two different things? Do they not go together? So everyone that was there, of course, it's no stira, it all works well. So one person said, yeah, I believe it's a stira. So I was like, oh, someone actually being honest.
What's a stira?
Oh, good question. What's a stira? Stira is a contradiction. Meaning, is it a contradiction to being like, do we think we can be very religious, very chassidish, and be very wealthy, or be wealthy? Can they go together? Yeah, exactly. Very good.
Yeah.
It's a good, exactly. But no. So the question is, are we? Well,
there's no contradiction at all, because then all chassidim would be poor.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the point. This is where the Farbrengens sort of starts. Do we believe that? So we know that to be true. You sound very convicted, very convinced, which is good. Then the question is, this is the question to ask ourselves. Like so really that question is, we're saying they don't contradict each other. But can I pursue the process of being very wealthy or being more wealthy than I am now? And will that get in the way of being chassidish? Understand that question?
Yeah, can you repeat yourself?
Question is, so we agree, so you said, and you sound very convinced, so it's good, that there's no contradiction to being wealthy and being chassidish. Good, I'm happy. We should all be like that. The next question is, so even if it doesn't contradict each other, am I able to pursue being more wealthy? Can I pursue it?
Oh, can you be chassidish and pursue wealth?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can just
It's definitely a challenge.
It's a big
I don't know if I'm
challenge.
up for the task. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be great, but it all depends. Like, I don't think it's a contradiction. I think it's yes, it's a blessing to have money to take care of your Gashmi's needs, but it is a challenge. Like there's like a really famous Farbrengen, I think famous, that like the Rabbi asks like who wants to be rich. It's not easy to be rich. Like you have more like the problems are just smaller, but you still have problems. Like you still have stuff you're struggling with. It's still something you have to, take care of if you have business or whatnot.
Yeah.
Take up more of your mind.
So I'm saying, yeah, but you should
take up less of your mind.
I don't think money has anything to do with.
So then is it a stira?
So you're saying it's a contradiction? It depends how you use it, how you go.
If you're saying it's going to take up more of your time, you're not going to be else.
The whole reason we're here is to utilize the world. So if you're in it while having the right intentions, then that's
So should we? It's all good.
It's harder.
You need to balance it. Yeah, and it's
okay.
Yeah.
So this is not really a discussion we want to have now, but the point of this, what I'm trying to show, which is everything we're saying is very good, is learning how to, you can call this is bonus, how to how to unpack this idea. We learn something, we learn an idea, see yom, beautiful yoms. But what we should try to do is unpack it. So what do I think? Because a lot of times you'll say something, like I'll say something, and it'll come up in the sikha, we're going to talk about a subject, and everyone's going to agree. But it's like a perfect example of this. And this is something that like I'm trying hard on this recently. We know that the Baal Shem Tov, before his parents passed away, his father told him two things. You know this? He told him two things. What were the two? Anyone know? Yeah, don't be afraid of anything, anyone, and love every Jew to the depth of your heart. So it's a very nice vart. So now let's think about this vart. It's a life-changing idea. Don't be afraid of anything. Now, if we look at our lives and we see, well, even poverty. How much do we do things that we're afraid of? We're afraid of not doing it. Yeah, but if we're in either one, if we're afraid, we're not. This is what he's teaching us. It's a beautiful idea, and it's very powerful. So we shouldn't be afraid of anything. Meaning, we could be afraid of going to the dentist. We could be afraid of losing our job. There's so many things that we could be afraid of, and there could be justified things to be afraid of. What's going to be? Am I going to get married? I'm afraid. Am I going to have enough money to survive? I'm afraid. And that kid is afraid. But the question is, so what we're learning from this simple vart, so to speak, of the Baal Shem Tov's father to him, you have nothing to be afraid of. We should walk around, so how I applied it is when I see a situation, so it's being able to recognize my reaction is a reaction of fear. What's going to be? How's it going to work? Is it going to work? And I realize I'm being afraid. I have permission to not be afraid. I'm not saying necessarily it's so always easy, but it's not the point whether it's easy or not. We have permission to be afraid, but really we should have permission to not be afraid. That's a simple thing. But the point I'm trying to say is that I press record, yeah. That when we learn ideas, we have to ask ourselves, that's an idea over here that I've learned. How do I interact with that idea? How do I see it? What do I think about it? So we say, I agree. So do I live by that agreement? And then we might find that not necessarily like this idea. We all agree, the Baal Shem Tov said, shouldn't be afraid of anything, perfect. But then we walk around being afraid of everything again, because we haven't really internalized the message that it's trying to teach us. Yeah, we all understand this. It's a very cool idea. So now we're gonna discuss a beautiful idea in Torah. So we all know that Torah is eternal. Torah is given to us, and even more, as the Rabbi says in the Sikha, the Torah is really essentially it's Hashem's. It's Hashem's gift that He gave us. So we understand that the Torah is eternal. It's not mechalefes. It's never going to change. Torah is going to be forever. No adding, no changing. That's Torah. We all agree to this. And not just we agree to that, we understand. So therefore, everything we learn in Torah is eternal. And this is beautiful. My son had to give a Dvar Torah in class of what he learned through the year. And he's in 4th grade. So he's learning Mishnah. One of the things he's learning now, his mom just learned it. It was so cool. It worked perfectly. He's learning Mishnah, Megillah, the second Mishnah, this first Mishnah on Parak Beis. And basically it says, I curse Megillah Mafreya, Lo Yati. Read the Megillah. Mafreya literally means they teach it out of order. But Baal Shem Tov has a beautiful title. Mafreya means backwards, meaning like it happened once. Like it's not a story for me. It's a story that happened a long time ago. If you read the Megillah, read the Torah as a history book, Lo Yata. That's not the Torah. The Torah is a living thing that's happening to us now. So it's very interesting to talk to my kids about it and let them try to explain to them what does it mean that you're living with it now, and then it helps me understand what that actually means. Because it's like, so what does that mean now? But what we're saying is the Torah is eternal, which means whatever we learn in Torah is forever. Yeah, we all, I think we've all learned this before. It's nothing a chiddush. Yeah. So then we have a little bit of a question over here. If you learn in the Gemara, it comes up in many places in the Gemara, different like eights, different like ideas, different like remedies, medicines you should do for certain things. that we don't do today. Or an example, Rambam, he brings on a whole parak in Hilchos Deis. I have it here, and you're right. Basically, being healthy is part of serving Hashem, because you can't understand Hashem if you're unhealthy. So therefore, he goes to list a whole parak of different things to do health-wise, how you're meant to eat, sleep, and all the things. Now, yeah. Explain what you mean.
It was amazing to read it.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Okay, so this is going to be very interesting for you. This is very interesting. So I was skimming through it. I've been reading it in the past, but I was skimming through it. And one of the things he talks about is fruits are really bad for you, as Rambam says. He says unripe fruits, it's like a sword to the stomach. And he said ripe fruit are not good for you. Fruits aren't good. Drinking water, yeah, that's what he says.
Drinking water is not good?
Yeah, you have to be very careful how much you drink, not too much. You should drink water with beginning of the meal. Drink not too much, you drink with wine. No, and he goes, it's very detailed, but a lot of things aren't what you would say is common practice nowadays. Yeah?
Studies that are like, oh, they said exactly what Rambam said or something like that.
So what we're saying is different. We're saying a lot of things that he says we don't actually do. And the question is, why? Like, not why. We understand why, because we got told it's not good for you. So if Torah is eternal, Torah never changes, so what's going on with the Rambam over here? And all these things in the Gemara. Even Rambam doesn't bring down in his Sefer Halachos what they did in the Gemara. So if it's eternal, should we be doing it? And well, clearly we're not doing it. So does that sort of shake up this idea of the Torah is eternal? Of course it doesn't. We all know that. But like, so how do we understand this? I knew you could put into anything you learn that's like, what does this mean? So one thing we just ignore it, just move on, or we could say, I don't know, it's a bigger issue. Yeah, very good.
About Rambam, it's about sleeping, it's about eating, about exercise.
He says you should exercise before you eat.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So what's interesting about it is you could come and say it's not a big deal. And by the way, a lot of these questions in Torah, people they struggle with this. So they learn modern science and they say there's some science is saying, oh. So what do we do? So they try to find all these different solutions or whatever, figure it out. I think what the Rebbe says here is what he explains here is a very nice way of saying it. So I was thinking we're going to get that. So I was thinking to my son, I was reading it with him. Not the whole Sirah. Like I said to the kids, I went outside because I need to I'm not a very good learner by myself. It's very hard. So I'll read it but I'm like, what did I just say? But when someone else, it always works better. So I took him, I said, I need to help you. I need you to help me. I sat down with Farbrengens about it. He asked a few good questions. And when I explained an answer, he had a smile it's a good answer. So hopefully we'll all say the same thing. So one simple answer we just say is Rambam just talking about his time, and that's it. And it doesn't mean for all of us. Yeah? He's just saying in this, he's bringing a book for his time, and in his time, that's what we should do. But the problem with saying that is what we said in the beginning. I'm giving the Secha B'Kitzur. So the problem with saying this is it goes against what we said before. The Torah is eternal. When we say the Torah is eternal, it doesn't just mean the Torah Shebachsav. It means Torah Shebal Peh. It goes all the way. Even the Rambam, it says, there's a sefer that says that the Beis Yosef and the Ramah wrote the Shulchan Aruch, which is in like the 1600s, said that they wrote it with Nevuah. And Hashem put it in. I think it's the Baal Shem Tov says, the Alter Rebbe says, even the Shach and Taz, which are commentaries on them, is all with Ruach HaKodesh. So everything they said is all of this is good. So Rambam is sure good. Rambam's bringing it down in the Sefer of Halachis. So it's a Sefer of book of Halachis for us. So it must be a true thing. If it's right for your generation, Rambam in his Halachis, he doesn't put in any halacha that's not for forever. Meaning every halacha that you put in, it's something that lasts forever. Because we all know the 613 mitzvahs, but there's a question which fit in. So there's a few Sfarim that they try to figure out what are the 613. So Rambam's, he puts his. So one thing Rambam says, I only put in a mitzvah that's forever. Now you're going to say, but he puts in, let's say, the wiping out the 7 nations of Eretz Yisrael. Now we don't have that mitzvah. How do we apply that? So the answer to that is, if we had the 7 nations here now, then we would have the mitzvah. We just don't know who they are. But it's not the mitzvah went away. The mitzvah practically that can't be done. But if they were here, we could do it. Whereas here, the health style of the times of the Rambam and the times of the Gemara is not something that we have now. We just live a different health style. We don't do that, and it wouldn't be healthy. A lot of things that he says. So then why would he put it in? It's simple. He could have just said, "Listen, this is a book of halachas. It's forever. Just follow what the doctor in your town tells you." And even more, what's crazy about this is if you would do that, and if you follow the doctor, you go to the doctor, you do what the doctor tells you. You're doing a mitzvah. Because it says, you have to guide your souls, you have to take care of yourself. So therefore you should go do this. But the Rambam doesn't do that. He puts it in the Sefer Halachis. So when you're learning the halachis of being healthy according to the Rambam, it's part of learning Torah, and you have to say Birchas Torah to learn this. It's wild. You're learning, basically imagine opening up a science book, a health book, and you have to make a Birchas Torah before you learn it. But that's what you have to do, you put it in there. And he would have saved us a lot of trouble if he just said, follow whatever modern doctors tell you, whatever, the health professionals of your time. But he puts it in. I think so. I'm not a maven in Hilchas Nashim, but as morning brachas, yeah. That's why you say it in morning brachas. Yeah.
They used to say it more.
I wasn't around there. I don't think so. I'm saying meaning it does say that it says. I think maybe the first base minister says about one base about the Mikdash was destroyed because they didn't say Birchas Torah. But it didn't mean like now we say Birchas Torah, meaning the Birchas Torah, like blessing Hashem, they gave us the Torah, they lost that aspect. We just say it like, Brachas. Yeah. So back to our question. What's going on over here? Why does Ram put it in? And how do we understand this? Is it something? It is eternal, but how does it apply to us? And how does that all work? And then we said maybe we could say it's talking about it's part of the mitzvahs. It's not like other things. So what do you guys think? How would you answer this? Or does the question bother you at all?
What was the thing that Rambam said? The whole sefer.
As a whole parak. Halacha. Halacha is halacha. It's halacha. In his halacha sefer, he writes the whole parak about how to be healthy. According to him, which is something that we don't use. Torah is eternal, Torah is forever, but we don't use that. It's not something that we would use, and a lot of the things is maybe against common practice. Well, yeah, but it could be probably a little more in line with what we do. I'm not sure. Also, another section in the Rambam. What is it? Also, another section in the Rambam, he talks about Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctifying new moon, and in there he talks about how to calculate the moon, and also talks about the stars and constellations and the angels and stuff, and all this stuff. And that's also part of Torah that you have to make a bracha on. It's very interesting. Imagine going to astronomy class. and having to make a bracha on the Torah. But that's essentially what he does.
But so if what Rambam wrote is eternal, why do we not follow it? That's the question.
That's exactly the question. No, not the question. Not why don't we follow it? No, the question not why don't we follow it. The question is, it's not things that we should follow practically nowadays. So why is it in there? Or what should we do with this information? It's like sort of saying, I want to say such a whole thing, but it's like it's incorrect.
Is it possible they didn't realize that it wouldn't be relevant and a few centuries later?
So that's what some people might answer. But we are Lubavitchers, we have a Rebbe. Exactly. And the Rebbe's like, there's no wasted words. Exactly.
So there's no reason.
Put it as halacha.
Yeah.
So
And we don't.
He has a sefer of voice, but he puts it in sefer halacha right in the beginning.
He puts in here, sefer halacha.
Yes. Listen what he writes. This is what he says. Listen to this. He goes, since the body, this is Hilchas Deis and Mamash in the beginning. This is the first halachas. There's Hilchas Yisodei Torah and Hilchas Deis. It's the second section of like halachas. And he goes, it's a whole chapter. There's how many, there is, yeah, this is all English. Not all English, man. There's 23, yeah, I'll show it to you in a second. There's 23 halachas in them. And he goes, since the body being healthy and whole is among the ways of serving Hashem, for it is impossible to understand and to know when one is unwell. Meaning, you can't understand and know Hashem when you're unwell. So a person must distance himself from things which damage the body and accustom himself in those healthy habits which make one well. And they are. And he goes on. One should never eat except when he's hungry, nor should he drink except when he is thirsty. One should not put off believing himself even for a moment. Rather, every time he should go, he needs to go, his bowel movements, do so immediately. And he's good in 23 things you can.
In the halacha. So, yeah, no, I didn't realize it's in a halacha book. I thought it was just one of the
Yeah.
suggestions.
what are those things that we don't do? Oh my gosh, it is English. But this is like basic things that everyone does. That's common knowledge, like
No, but a lot of it isn't what we do.
a lot of.
Yeah.
You drink water during the meal? Yeah.
L'chaim, please.
It's not the question of do you drink water in the meal. The question is it a problem to drink water during the meal?
Yes, timing of drinking is important.
Is that what common, that's what they say, you shouldn't drink during the meal?
This,
Cool. No?
Yeah, there are more recent studies that show that you should.
But either way, we
Timing
still
of-
don't we don't follow this like we follow halacha. Is that also your point?
That's also, yeah.
Saying like, no, I suggestion, any of these, I don't think that's halacha, I think that's a suggestion.
But it's not supposed to be.
But
Oh,
apparently it is.
You won't learn it. The reality is you're not going to read it and try to follow everything. It's not, doesn't work.
some people do.
I'm understanding, like, I'm not fulfilling.
My
the
father
mitzvah by
had, I
having
think,
to
something
follow
in
it.
this, and he eats chicken first, and then he eats meat. And like he tried to.
Yeah. So the question is that a problem nowadays? Also, he says about fruit in one of the, that says,
Some people do,
Not
like
on
read
his
this,
face,
I'm like,
not
take
his
it as.
back.
he says fruits are very bad. Yeah.
But we do sleep on the side, that I know about.
Yeah. Go a little.
Don't sleep right after eating, rather you should wait after eating for 3 to 4 hours, okay, nobody goes to sleep soon.
That's also like been researched now.
I think it's also like the fact of like, I think what the Rambam is saying is good,
Okay,
and
like,
like, there's also,
Right.
there's people who are gonna do what
But
they're gonna
maybe it
wanna
should
do.
be.
I think just because people are not doing this nowadays does not mean.
So yeah, we're not saying just people that don't do it. We're saying it's not something that is done, not because we just don't do it.
First eat the poultry, likewise, if you should feed eggs and poultry, you should first eat the eggs.
The light.
Is that something, what I guess what we're saying is that something that like medically or whatever, healthy people.
I think that's incorrect. What people do nowadays and what doctors are saying nowadays, first of all, I don't know that information, but even if it's different, that doesn't mean that Rambam is wrong.
Oh, we will. In the hot season, eat cool foods and not spicy. Sorry, I'm getting it.
In the hot season, eat cool foods?
Yeah, eat cool foods and should not overuse spices and should ingest vinegar. That's some vinegar. While in the rainy seasons, one should eat hot foods. Use spices liberally and eat a bit of mustard and asafoetida.
That kind of makes sense, because
Turn, I think, the next page
there's something else.
about fruit. And maybe it's them.
16 fruits.
Yeah.
One should not partake of them. They're dried. Although he talks about grapes beforehand, that's a little funny. Grapes, figs, berries, pears, melons, pulp of a squash, cucumbers, okay, whatever.
What about?
Says that they're good.
What
Well,
about
he
the,
was speaking about those foods with laxative effects on the intestines. Should be eaten first before the main meal.
you okay?
Foods with constrained the intestines, such as pomegranate, quinces, I don't know what that is, apples and small pears, one should eat right before his meal.
Yeah. Do we do that? Is that a healthy thing nowadays?
Eat an apple before I eat.
See, an apple a day keeps the doctors away.
In the right spot, like.
Right spot. And he writes in the end, oh, let's go to the fruits thing.
Oh, the fruit, okay, one should always abstain from fruits. Okay. And should not partake of them, even dried, and certainly not when fresh.
Fruits?
Yeah, fruits.
But before they are completely ripe, they are like swords to the body. Carrots too are always harmful.
Carrots?
What about carrots?
Carrots
Like
are always
butter?
harmful.
Oh, so why did we do that
All-
for lack of hunger?
All pickled fruits are harmful.
Okay,
The
now
pickles-
I'm really confused.
And should not be eaten except for a small amount in the hot season and in hot climates.
Okay, we have people on line. What is going on over there?
Now that
We're reading from the Rambam.
So your question is, if the Rambam wrote this and we don't follow it nowadays, like who's right kind of thing? Is that your question?
Honey,
Yeah.
wine are harmful.
I'm
for
really
them.
confused
we
now.
know that.
No, because I mean, I get the question.
Honey,
You get the question. Very good.
Okay.
Okay, everyone get the question?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Oh, the question?
Yeah.
The question is, so like, there can only be one person who's right. So like, do we discredit the doctors nowadays, or do we discredit Rambam? So clearly, so
And
that.
if we're discrediting Rambam, if we discredit Rambam, yes, I'm saying if we are,
Exactly.
meaning, okay, just for the people online they're wondering what's going on. We're having a question like this. There's Rambam has halachos about health that he puts into his sefer of halachos, which means something that is eternal, that applies even now, seemingly, but we don't apply that. We don't follow these instructions. For example, not eating fruits, they're very harmful for you. We all eat fruits and we all think it's very healthy for us. So what's going on over here? Rosh Hashanah we eat, and they're not ripe. Yeah, us Rosh Hashanah eating the new fruits. You know, back in the day, like in Crown Heights, what was the new fruit? Rosh Hashanah time?
A pomegranate? Oh,
No, it was a mango. So the point is, the question that we're asking is, if the Torah is eternal, and all parts of Torah, even the Rambam is part of that eternal. So someone is answering. Let's see. So therefore, what's going on? Someone says multiple things can be truthful at the same time. Yeah, a little bit, sort of, not really. Meaning.
Yet another rule stated regarding physical health: one who exercises and exerts himself extensively does not eat until satiety and his intestines are relaxed. No illness will beset him, and his strength will increase, even if he eats harmful foods. So even within Rambam, he's saying this is the best thing to eat. However, if you're taking care of yourself and your body in this safe way, and you're not listening to me, you're still doing good.
But so the question is, the Rambam brings down halachos in his sefer of halachos, medical advice, which isn't practiced nowadays. And if the Torah is eternal, Torah is all true, so then how do we follow this? We don't. And some things. Very good. So it explains. Shira is saying that it's because Rambam's talking about Be'etzim. Yeah. So, no, so you're answering. Yeah, you're trying to answer.
The was going until you're late in the 4th of the night, everything.
Oh, Chelsea.
I don't know if that's right.
Okay, it's you're getting that. Let's unpack it a little bit. So basically, So what's going on over here? And this really you could ask any type of question you get on the Torah that's like seems to not, let's say, go. Another place I saw this idea, a similar idea, is the Rebbe talks about the Mabul. That it says, well, the Mabul rainbow happened. It never happened before. So what's the story? So the Rebbe explains, it's so interesting. He goes, basically the Mabul caused a change in the atmosphere. And that change caused that to be able to be a rainbow. Before the Mabul, you didn't have rainbows, because how does a rainbow work? It's like the water reflecting and all these things. So that whole process didn't exist. And the Mabul, one of the things it causes those things to exist. And that's why you have a rainbow now. Yeah?
Classified as Torah.
Yeah.
Every single word that he
So then I
wrote,
can't be.
even like the one I
Or in the Vuchim? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a Hayim Yom that I think the Tzemach Tzedek learned with the Rabbi Marash. They learned through the Sharon. For sure, it's a very interesting work. It's also interesting because how he explains things in his halacha versus how he explains it over there is different. But yeah. So, one thing I wanted to show you that it says here. Where does it come from? In Yerushalmi. No. It brings down a lot of sources that the Torah, the Mishnah, Talmud, V'Agarata. It says, it's a famous quote. It says, "Afilu mash Talmud vasik asil even if a novice student is going to make a novel idea in Torah, lifnei Rabbi in front of his teacher, kavai nemar l'Moshe misinai, divrei Torah kulam achas." It was already said to Moshe Sinai, every Torah is all one. Anything you come up with Torah that it's a proper thing, it's all from Moshe Sinai. It's 100%. Yeah. It says from Moshe ad Moshe le kam Moshe. Rambam, there's no question nowadays of his validity. It's not even a shayla. A lot of yeshivas, especially outside Lubavitch, they learn Rambam very different than we do. They learn Rambam because Rambam basically he was like, I'm going to write a book and I'll give you all the answers. But he goes, I don't have time to put all the sources for everything. So a lot of shiurim they'll have like trying to figure out what the source is for what he's saying. And how one place is not necessarily the best place for it, and you can learn here, and it's a whole thing. Rambam is he's very respected. So the answer is,
Yeah.
So the answer is like this. Beautiful idea. And we have to think about this, we're going to apply it to a lot of different questions. The answer is like this. Torah is eternal, and everything that the Rambam writes is 100% correct. What changed? We changed. The nature of humans changed. And this is simple, we see it now. The way we live now versus the way we lived in times of Alter Rebbe, it's like you can't compare. It's like, and we change, meaning Rambam is writing, he says in the end of the parak, he goes, whoever follows this and does everything correctly will never get sick. That's when we're all healthy, we're all right, we're all in line. The problem is we live unhealthy lives, we're unbalanced. And meaning that's why in the Rambam's time he didn't write all the ideas from the Gemara, not because they're not correct, they're eternal. Like everything in Torah is eternal. It's just his time period was later on, it was like 700 years after that. And so we changed. This is one of the beauties of Judaism. I don't know about every other religion, but Judaism versus like modern science is that the further you go back, the closer you are to Matan Torah. So people, the further back, the more respected, the more holier, the more truth there is. Where in science, we are going further away from the apes. You know, like the famous joke, one kid, he has a parent, he goes to his parents, he goes to school, he learns about evolution. So he comes to his father and he goes, Dad, where do we come from? So he goes, millions of years ago, those monkeys, this whole process, and then they sort of it evolved to humans. He's like, okay, interesting. So he goes to his mother. He's like, Mom, where do we come from? So she's like, we're created. So she's like, what do you mean by that? But Dad told me we come from monkeys. So she says, not a steer. That's from his side of the family. It's your side, my side of the family. So what we're saying is, and I think it's such a beautiful idea. For sure, there's a lot to it to unpack. But what we're saying is, essentially, what Rambam wrote is like also what Shua was saying, because Torah is eternal. Really, Torah says Torah really is Hashem's, the way it is above. It just comes down here in a physical way because Hashem ultimately wants it to be in this physical place. But the Torah is telling you as it is in its truth, in the true essence of it. That's how it is. And Rambam, which is the Sefer of Halachos, he's writing, this is the truth, how it's meant to be. Now, what do we do now? We're not saying, and why is it beautiful? Because we're not saying this is not correct. Just not for us now because of our issues. Like someone brought up about the Beis Hamikdash. We are living different times, so we can't bring karbanos. Back in the day, the way you got better from an avera, you went to the Beis Hamikdash, you brought a karban, and you returned. We don't have that anymore. Not that etzem didn't change. Just we live in a different time period, unfortunately, because of our sins. We don't have the Beis Hamikdash. And therefore, we don't do that. Not just we don't do it, we can't do that. But not because that changed. That is still a way to getting atonement. They are doing tshuva. But now that we don't have this, we have to do our own tshuva in our own way. And therefore, what all these halachas that we learn in Rambam and all these things it says, it's not that it's not true. It's 100% true. Why we don't follow it
It's a different thing.
is because of our issue. I think it's a very beautiful idea.
Don't worry. I'll just ask for people to take pictures.
It's good.
But take a picture.
You get the vart?
I get it, but it still bothers me that it's in a Sefer Halacha then that isn't again to us. And why is it in a Sefer Halacha?
It's not negate to us. It is negate to you. It is negate to you. The reason why you can't apply it is because of where we're holding, but it's not negate. Meaning when Mashiach comes, it'll start to be negate again. L'cheira,
But our bodies are
seemingly.
I don't get it.
Red is in Shulchan Aruch.
Yeah. Same question, same idea. Well, I only have
Saying.
one right here. Halacha. Yeah, it's 2 ears, but I can only hear one thing. You know, there's that animal that can look at his eyes, they move differently. Anyway, but I'm not that animal. So yeah, you were saying, as you chew. You don't like it still?
No, I still, yeah, I know. I'm
Why?
still, like, I'm confused, like our bodies are physically different, that we can't do this.
I don't see what's so complicated. In Lubavitch, you know what? Here's something crazy. When the Hecht brothers went to Timchei Tzimimim in Otvatsk in 1938 from America, they went there. So the mashpia in New York, whatever, told, I think it was Jacobson, he told, I thought the mashpia in Otvatsk, he said, you have to like treat him way better than you treat the guys over there because they're just on a different standard. It came and they said they had for lunch, they had rotten potatoes. But the Bachrim, these Americans, they gave them like fresh food or whatever. Could you imagine eating rotten potatoes? You couldn't. And this is whatever, 38, this is what, nearly 100 years ago. Imagine talking about Rambam, how many, like hundreds, hello. Imagine like 100 years ago, like 1,000 years ago, it's only 1,000 years ago, the Rambam's times, like what type of lifestyle they lived? Tell me we'll eat the same, the food that you eat, everything, your whole life is certain.
Sefer Halacha. Don't bring it to Sefer Halacha then.
Because it's true. Right? Well, you could say the same thing. Why did Rambam write the Hilchos of Beis Hamikdash? He lived in the time of the destruction of Beis Hamikdash. What's it going to do with me now?
That's different because that's gonna be like we know that time period is coming and like any generation could benefit from that. But this, we're not saying is eternal for any generation.
Oh, we're saying it is.
No.
Is it eternal?
Yeah.
It says.
Yeah, of course. What we're saying is even more, it's beautiful. We're saying this is the Torah's definition of how we should be doing things. Now, should you do it? No, not because that's not true, because we live in an unhealthy society style that we can't live up to those things.
So these are really high standards.
You could say.
Like,
There's some. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So there's people that do live it. There's a book on Weiss. I'll give my wife this book about like Rambam eating, but according to this, you have to analyze it. I didn't learn the Sikha in depth so much, but you could say actually that not necessarily we have to live up to that standard.
It's not easy, but there are people that live according to the people. And this was the place for the organoids, they learn there according to the Rambam, and they look like any skinny. No, really, they just live like that.
They eat fruit.
That's amazing.
Mamash.
Wow. What's funny about it?
See.
It's funny.
Hashem.
It's good, yeah. You're simcha through learning Torah.
Yeah, I'll read it. It says, for example, a Torah scholar should not walk with erect posture and outstretched neck, as the matter is stated, and they walked with outstretched neck and with scrutinizing eyes. Nor should he walk heel to toe leisurely, as do women. And the haughty of spirit, as the matter is stated, floating along as they walk and flirting with their feet.
You shouldn't do
So it's just funny how he's like,
runway walk.
how he's describing men should not walk like women.
That's
And he's saying women walk like this, which is kind of accurate. But no man will admit to it. But Roman will.
I don't have to notice, do I do heel to toe?
Heel to toe, and you should do heel to toe.
Shoulders.
Torah
A
scholar
woman
should
from the
not
hips.
walk. Yeah, heel to toe.
Okay, so I think just to summarize, the people that are on the Zoom can leave. They're not hearing, but so I think like if you take this into a broader context, when you look at something in Torah, and you might come, like when I was younger, and I was a little bit way more naive. Not that I'm not that much more naive, but I didn't know them that much, and I'll learn something, it didn't make sense to me. So I'll tell my father, like, it doesn't make any sense. So he always corrected me, and I really appreciated it. He said, don't say it doesn't make any sense. Say, I don't understand. It's a very big difference. It's a very healthy,
stickers, and there was a set in Hebrew, a set in Spanish. So they're like, oh, they have the Hebrew ones, and oh, they have the English ones. And I didn't, like, I heard, like, I was not right next to them. When I passed by, I was like, oh, actually, those are Spanish. And I read it for them, and it says, that's what it means in Spanish. And they're like, no. Like, I'm like, oh, it's confusing because, like, it's the same letters for English and Spanish. And they're like, no. Like,
that's all. That's
That's like literally this in a nutshell. Like, we don't understand Rambam. It's like we're like, no,
so
but
it's like
it
a
is.
reminder for me that when I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently.
okay. But so
Mucho
the point is what we're showing here is you can come and say doesn't make any sense, and therefore the whole thing doesn't make any sense. If Rambam says that if you say like one word in Torah is incorrect, it's like totally false. There's a pasuk that has like 3 words. It's like 3 names. So if you're saying that's not an important pasuk in the Torah, not as important as Anei Hashem Elokecha, then you apikurs in the whole Torah, because it's all Torah. So this I see this as a very beautiful way of understanding it. Well, we're able to say, and this is sort of, I think, in general, the Rebbe shits on. The Rebbe lived in a generation that people had big issues with science, and Torah, and how does it all work. So some people try to find like ways that Torah, when it says what day it means, like millennia, and they gave all these excuses. The Rebbe was very much not an excuse type of guy. He's like proud Jew, and he said Judaism is emes. It's been the same from the beginning, and we don't need to change it. Science changes every few years. Columbus, wasn't it Columbus that he went to America and he thought the author was going to fall off the cliff? Wasn't it him?
Wanted to prove that
The world was round. Didn't they think the world was square?
He thought he landed in India,
Which is why they're called Indians.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think one thing was trying to prove that the world wasn't square. They thought it was going to go to the edge and fall down. So science keeps on changing. Torah is always true. Same when we're learning, we learned 1,000 years ago. No one changed what it means to try to fit it in. And that's also the Rebbe Shitton. So you learn something here, and there comes this very simple idea. Like, what do we do with this? He's like, nothing to worry about. It's not complicated. We changed, it didn't change, and it's Torah and it's Torah's emes. And therefore everything you see that might conflict with what you know how to, now you understand how to see it. This is true. What happened is we changed. You know what I mean? And ultimately, this brings us to Shavuos, the receiving of the Torah. So we appreciate what we got. We got something that's eternal forever. It's pretty amazing. And it's amazing if you could go back to the times of the Rambam, you read the Chumash, you read whatever he's doing, it's the same thing. It's not like, and he won't give you a different shot from what you're getting today. You know, it's pretty wild. It's the same thing. And now you know, but he's going to start telling you about health. You're not going to say, buddy, get with the time. You're going to say, wow, you guys are on a whole different level than we are. I hope to get back there one day.
So they were living like this? That's what you're trying to say?
He says, if you go to the end, the parak, he says that if you follow, like on the last page, no, you're good. There. It's too far, that little. I don't know if it's on that page or the page just before that. He says, if you follow this way, you'll never get sick and you'll be healthy, everything's good. But he also says in the end, which proves this point, he says, yeah, but he says if you're unhealthy, like you have an illness, whatever, then you have to just follow whatever the doctor says. That's sort of proving our point. That this works on a healthy person, unfortunately. Besides that group in Eretz Yisrael that they follow and they're all healthy, I don't know. They're shining. So mitzvah Hashem by all of us, we should. So first, I think one thing we learn from this is, besides the Torah is true and all this, is that we have to learn Torah to know what these things are. How to connect, and also Shavuos, yeah, it's about connecting, especially with Chitas. They're always focused on Chitas because it's the Baal Shem Tov, Moshe, Chumash. Baal Shem Tov is Chassidus, is Tanya, and David HaMelech.
What if someone read like one line of each of the three?
That's counted.
It's nice.
It's nice. I mean, it's a start.
What's the blood letter?
That take a sucks blood.
We should know what that.
Yeah, he just came from, I know.
Doctor letter. So.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining online.
Phlebotomist, but they
I
didn't-
hope you have an amazing Kabbalah Sateh b'simcha u'pnimius. Enjoy the Torah. We should enjoy learning it. We should learn it with smile faces, like it's the best present ever.